So what is a RIMS? RIMS stands for Research Information Management System. Depending on where you are in the world, these kinds of systems may also be referred to as a CRIS, or Current Research Information System, or FIS, Faculty Information System. We're going to refer to it as a RIMS today. Whatever you call it, the Research Information Management System serves as a comprehensive solution that allows you to streamline the process of collecting, organizing, and disseminating research information across your institution. A RIMS allows you to build researcher profiles where works can be curated and highlighted. Additional services like equipment, labs, or facilities can be documented and made visible in your community. Administrators can use reports to see trends and metrics at their organization. And data from a RIMS can be leveraged to support additional workflows related to open access compliance, faculty annual reviews, use of academic repositories, funding and awards workflows, and more. In fact, the RIMS I'm talking about is Symplectic Elements from Digital Science. Today, we'll take a closer look at how Symplectic Elements can support the research workflows at your organization. Symplectic Elements is a research information management system, or a RIMS, that's used by research organizations to help collect, organize, and reuse information related to its research activity. The fundamental strength of Elements is its ability to bring together research data from internal and external systems into one centralized location. Elements is structured to support the reuse of that data in as many ways as possible. This is important because it is not uncommon for research organizations to have multiple systems that contain data about researchers, faculty, and other academic members. For example, the data may be spread across institutional websites, grants management systems, or HR systems. Data from these separate systems is often difficult to access for reporting purposes and can be hard to maintain. Elements help solve this challenge by aggregating relevant data from these systems and supplementing it with additional data harvested automatically from a wide range of internal and external sources. This allows researchers to capture a more comprehensive picture of their research and scholarly activities. Let's start with how data makes its way into an element system. Our core functionality centers around the continuous automated harvest of research data from multiple external sources. You can see a wide range of them here, and some to call out include Dimensions, Crossref, PubMed, and ORCID, just to name a few of them. If you use Symplectic Elements, you also get the use of Dimensions as a data source for grant data in addition to publication data. Also part of digital science, Dimensions is the world's largest linked research database with grant data coming from over 670 global funding bodies, both public and private. Even before a researcher or faculty member has ever logged into the Elements system, we start to intelligently and automatically harvest research metadata from these remote sources. The automation searches using a combination of name and affiliation plus identifiers to bring records into the system for faculty to claim. Researchers can also make use of our powerful auto-claiming functionality to automatically claim records associated with their research identifiers, such as their Dimensions Researcher ID or their ORCID ID, removing the need for manual verification. When a researcher ID is claimed, it claims all of the works within it, and hundreds of publications can be added to a profile with only a few clicks. To complement this externally sourced data, data from existing internal on-campus systems can also be fed into Elements, either as a one-off activity or in an ongoing basis. This may include information from the institution's HR system, an internal grants database, course information from an on-campus teaching system, or other types of internally tracked data such as labs and equipment. Research objects can also be created directly in Elements as needed. Bringing all of this data into Elements helps ensure that your researchers will have rich, complete profiles with minimal manual maintenance. Once an organization has rich Elements profiles, this data can be reused to support multiple use cases. The most essential use cases include showcasing expertise within the organization, promoting researchers and groups to public users through Elements discovery, and reporting and analyzing on research data using Elements built-in reports and dashboards. And we'll take a closer look at some of these other use cases in just a moment. I've described bringing data into Elements from internal systems by the systems already used by your organization. And Elements is able to integrate with many applications both upstream, pulling data into Elements, and downstream, pulling data out of Elements. And this is achieved through one of several methods for integration. We have the Elements API. This is a REST-based XML web service with the ability to both import and export data to and from Elements. We also offer a set of import and migration tools designed by our team of experts. The most common kind of data feed that we establish when implementing Elements is an HR or user feed, and this defines a set of user accounts to be maintained by the system using a simple file-based protocol. We use these kinds of migration tools to establish other common data feeds, including awarded grants, teaching activity data, or bringing in additional profile data from an existing intranet or website. There is also the Elements reporting database. This is a SQL relational database that's optimized for use by data analysts and business intelligence systems. Use standard Elements reports, create custom reports, or configure a direct connection to use the Elements data in your business intelligence tool of choice, like Tableau or Power BI. I also want to acknowledge that we understand that data security and privacy is essential. We are ISO 27001 certified, giving you confidence that we have robust security and data management policies in place. We also consider data security and privacy at every step of our design, development, and delivery process to ensure we always take the utmost care to protect your data. Elements also offers configurable object and user privacy settings to ensure that you and your researchers remain fully in control of your data at all times. Beyond the benefits of having rich Elements profiles, our solutions offer significant added value in the variety of ways you can reuse your rich profile data. Showcasing expertise through public discovery allows researchers to share their profiles with the global community and promote the visibility of your institution. Using our reports to report and analyze, Elements can simplify some of these common reporting tasks. For researchers and faculty, they can initiate the generation of an up-to-date formatted CV based on live Elements profile data. For administrators, they can run reports to gain insights into research output and activity trends across the organization. Support evaluation and review workflows by streamlining the processes that tend to be very labor-intensive for researchers and faculty, such as annual activity reporting, exercises, or performance evaluation. Support open access initiatives through institutional repository integrations and intuitive deposit workflows. Use the Elements OA monitor to track compliance and engagement at your organization. Make it easy for your researchers to gather evidence of their wider societal impact of their work. Collect ephemeral impact evidence over time and use these data points to create meaningful impact case studies and narratives. And finally, manage funding using the Elements Awards Management solution that allows you to track and manage the complete pre-award and post-award funding lifecycle, all in the familiar Elements interface. Let's take a closer look at Elements Discovery. One of the most essential parts of a RIM system like Elements is the ability to showcase your researchers' equipment and services to users both inside and outside of your organization. The Elements Discovery solution makes this possible. Here you see just a sampling of some of the institutions using Elements Discovery today to promote public researcher profiles. You can use the link to explore these sites for yourself and search for real researchers. Use Elements Discovery to increase your institution's online visibility, allowing cross-departmental faculty to find each other, allowing students to find their professors, allowing media outlets to find the right interview candidates, and allowing industry partners to find skilled experts. Elements Discovery provides a professional, accessible public display, leveraging the profile data and research outputs already stored in Elements profiles. This means there is no duplication of effort. Public profiles are generated directly from Elements profiles. This also allows organizations to reduce maintenance and multiple workflows, as their web profiles don't need to be maintained separately. You can use Elements Discovery as your institutional web profile, or use the Elements API to populate your current web profiles automatically. Elements Discovery is search engine optimized, so when someone searches for your researchers in a search engine like Google, they are driven back to your discovery site. Elements Discovery Search Interface offers a range of advanced functionality, including the ability to browse researchers in full or use facets to narrow by values like expertise or availability. We also support a number of different repository and open access integrations, allowing users to download PDFs from researcher profiles where available, or link users directly to your institutional repository. Elements Discovery can host pages beyond researcher profiles, also including public entries for equipment and labs, and linking several profiles and equipment pieces together on group pages for both hierarchical departments and non-hierarchical cross-functional groups. A real-world use case of leveraging Elements Discovery, labels, and facets comes from Carnegie Mellon University, or CMU. As part of its sustainability initiative, CMU sought to translate the university's sustainability commitments into practice by tracking profiles based on the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs, and connecting researchers who share the same goals and subject areas. They achieved this by mapping the SDGs label schema in Elements to their researcher profiles, and made these labels visible in their public Elements Discovery site as a search facet. Now, faculty can use the public site to connect with colleagues and collaborate on research efforts that support like goals. Administrators at CMU can use this data in reports and dashboards to track sustainability progress at the college, department, and researcher level. It allows them to see areas where they should strengthen their team with additional faculty, and areas where excellent sustainability research should be commended. And we have a quote here from Alexandra Hineker, Director of Sustainability Initiatives at CMU. And she says, it's really hard for students and researchers to figure out where they might have a potential partner who is working on something that's relevant to them, but in a different department. We've been able to use Elements as a tool to help students, faculty, and staff to identify those potential partners. And we encourage you to read the full case study. Beyond bringing visibility to your organization and research areas, Elements Discovery provides your researchers with new opportunity for collaboration. Researchers can better share themselves and their work using their Elements Discovery profiles as an accessible, professional, and always up-to-date landing page for their work. Powerful tools like the Elements Discovery Collaboration Network Map allow researchers to see a visualization of the reach of their current work. The map can show both direct collaborators and the partners of those collaborators, bringing visibility to peers in common and providing a wider pool of future collaborators. Internally, faculty from across multiple campuses and departments can find new peers to collaborate with by narrowing the discovery search by subject area, goal, or any other custom schema. Externally, your researchers can be discovered by prospective students or researchers at other institutions. Media inquiries can better be connected to the right contact based on the researcher expertise or subject areas. And industry partners can find skilled experts from within your academic community. Every type of new collaboration drives opportunity for new projects and enables research innovation. A real-world use case of Elements Discovery being used to connect industry partners with academic experts is the Ohio Innovation Exchange, or OIEX. OIEX is a network of Ohio universities and government agencies like the Department of Education, who have created a single Elements Discovery site with over 14,000 researcher profiles and over 2,300 equipment pages. Companies use OIEX's discovery site to search for both equipment they are interested in using for a project and for experienced researchers who know how to use these specialized tools. With a growing industry presence in Ohio from companies like Intel, there is a similar need to grow the visibility of the academic expertise available at Ohio universities. Since its launch, OIEX has seen real success with Elements Discovery, providing increased use of its equipment, meaningful industry collaborations for their researchers, especially early career researchers, and worldwide attention to their expert profiles. Next, let's take a closer look at Element's open access engagement and repository integrations. Elements has several tools that support open access engagement and repository integration. First, Elements can work with a variety of different repositories, but it can have a deeper bidirectional integration with these repositories. First is Figshare, a sister product also from Digital Science, but also supported is DSpace, ePrints, and Hyrax. The bidirectional integration means that researchers can deposit where they feel most comfortable, either from the familiar Elements interface directly or from the repository interface. With a bidirectional connection, Elements profiles are always synced with the content deposited in the repository, and the repository is kept up to date with the content deposited from Elements. Depositing from Elements is simple. If enabled, a deposit button appears next to publications on the research output screen. Administrators can configure instructional text and guidance to provide clarity to the researcher during the process. The guided deposit workflow allows researchers to make choices for embargo settings, licenses, file versioning, and more prior to deposit. These can then be tracked against an open access policy in Elements for administrators to monitor gaps and coverage in their OA compliance. Administrators can specify open access policy detail in Elements, and the system can monitor research outputs to ensure that the policy is being followed by researchers. OA reporting can be narrowed by group, department, or down to the researcher level. Narrow research outputs based on funder to identify outputs that need to comply to a specific funder policy. Visualizations show at a glance where there are gaps that need coverage, such as providing assistance or training to researchers who are behind on their deposits. And dashboards can show departments or researchers with high level of engagement and help administrators connect with the open access champions that are already at the organization. Next, let's take a look at the Elements Impact solution. The Elements Impact solution supports researchers by giving them a place where they can record impact indicators as they happen. Impact indicators may refer to engagement activities like media interviews, public lectures, press releases, or additional references like policy mentions or clinical trials. Research impact indicators can often be ephemeral and hard to log and recall after they take place. For example, many of these details may only exist in the researcher's email or local files. By building the habit of having researchers recording impact indicators in Elements, researchers will build up a library of impact evidence over time. These can regularly be reviewed in Elements by the researchers themselves or by colleagues with impact-based roles to see where it would be beneficial to write a document describing this impact story, such as a case study. Impact case studies can then be highlighted on the researcher's Elements discovery profile or as part of the organization's news or marketing materials. We also find that impact is a growing requirement for government and funding reporting. A real-world use case of the Elements Impact solution comes from the University of Technology Sydney, or UTS. UTS recognized that it had a growing need to capture, articulate, and evaluate the impact of its researchers. This need was coming from external sources like funding institutions and government agencies, and also from internal strategies, including a new initiative to actively demonstrate the real benefit and value of their researchers' work. UTS leveraged the impact tools within Elements to have a profound benefit on how their organization captures, shares, and rewards research impact. And we see a quote from Sophia Haidar at UTS saying, "Symplectic Elements has supported UTS with data-informed decision-making, storytelling, and streamlining the research lifecycle in an increasingly complex research environment." Next, let's take a look at Elements Evaluation and Review. The Elements Evaluation and Review solution allows you to create configurable forms and configurable review and approval workflows that can be used for a wide variety of purposes. Annual reviews may be one purpose, but you could also use this for something like promotion and tenure, P&T. You can even configure evaluation exercises to be used in a situation where multiple responses may be submitted, such as soliciting faculty feedback, prompting them to submit ethics disclosures, or giving researchers the opportunity to suggest topics for impact case studies. The Elements Evaluation and Review solution supports configuration of bespoke workflows with intuitive navigation. Elements makes it easy for faculty to quickly select and highlight their preferred activities and outputs for evaluation. Exercises can accommodate specific review processes as well, which may be as straightforward as a single-stage review or as comprehensive as a multi-stage review process. No matter the evaluation type or review workflow, all evaluation activities can be conducted in a familiar interface with a consistent login, and evaluations can be promoted directly to researchers on their Elements homepage. One of the top benefits of using Elements to conduct your evaluation and review workflows is that much of the data required is already available within their Elements profiles. This allows faculty to complete their reviews without the need for manual data entry. Elements presents the faculty with relevant data from their profile, which can then be confirmed and curated. Faculty can optionally choose to enrich their evaluation with additional supporting information and attachments. Elements leverages both existing data from their profiles and allows the option of adding supplemental information as needed. For those users who are reviewing submitted evaluations, they are also able to interact with the familiar interface using the same intuitive layout and guide that the faculty used to build their submission. Reviewers simply have additional spaces to provide scores, feedback, or their own attachments. All of the data captured in the Elements Evaluation and Review solution is private by default, and we have a robust roles-based permissions that ensure your administrators can effectively control permissions for faculty and reviewers, both during and after the exercise. Only the faculty member themselves, the reviewers, and those managing the process can see the data in the submission. And last but not least, let's take a closer look at Elements Awards Management. The Elements Awards Management solution allows you to bring your pre-award and post-award funding workflows directly into Elements. Connect researchers with funding opportunities by posting them where researchers work on the Elements homepage. You can build opportunities from scratch or from template directly in Elements in the management interface, or via API connection to internal on-campus system like your grants database, or to external funders where API connections are available. Administrators can even target the users who should see certain funding opportunities, tailoring the opportunities to be visible to everyone, select groups, or specific users. The Elements Awards Management solution can be used for the entire funding cycle, both pre-award and post-award, and can be used with both internal and external awards processes. Throughout the proposal and project management process, relevant Elements data can be reused, such as groups, departments, primary and co-investigators, and linked research outputs. Administrators can provide custom instructions, support contact information, and a timeline as part of the proposal workflow to ensure that the researcher has all of the support and guidance needed to make their submission a success. Track budget details during the proposal and approve project workflows, including integration with your finance system. The Elements Awards Management solution provides flexibility in the review process, allowing administrators to build a workflow as simple or as comprehensive as needed. It is possible to configure multiple teams of reviewers who may be providing varying simultaneous feedback on a proposal. No matter the workflow, the researcher and reviewers can have a clear view into the status of the submission and what steps are next to come. As with other areas of Elements, the awards management solution comes with comprehensive reporting, so you can compare funding proposals, won, lost, and value year over year, and better prepare for future submissions. We've covered a lot of ground so far today about how a research information management system like Elements can solve multiple key use cases at your institution, from showcasing researcher profiles using Elements Discovery to handling complex workflows like evaluation or awards management, to telling the story of research impact. Our research information management system, Symplectic Elements, can provide you significant benefits across multiple departments and throughout your entire research lifecycle. Thank you for listening. Before we turn it over to questions, I also just want to invite you all to participate in our open survey about what is shaping the future of academia. Use the QR code or link from the slides to participate, and we appreciate you sharing your feedback on this topic.
Thank you, Alexandra. So we've got quite a few questions that have come in. I'll put them to you now. If there are any questions that we don't have time to cover today, then we will make sure to come back to those of you who've posited them following the session. So don't worry if we don't manage to get to yours. So the first one, Alexandra, is you have Web of Science and Scopus as external data sources that are automatically ingested. Does the institution require a subscription to these services in order for Elements to access that data?
Yes, that is correct. Those are the two sources that require an additional subscription. They're commonly used, but we do need your subscription to help make that API connection possible.
Thank you. Then we have one which I can answer, which is, will this presentation be recorded or the slides be made available for download? Yes, we have been recording. All registrants and attendees will get an email within the next few days with a downloadable recording of this. The next one for you, Alexandra, and this was while you were talking about discovery and public profiles. So it was, is it possible to edit staff profiles manually?
Elements profiles can always be edited manually. There's a lot of granular tools we didn't dive into today in terms of defaults for what's public, what's internal, what's private. So you may not necessarily need all of the pieces from an Elements profile to end up on a public discovery site. You also have the ability to configure more open-ended sections of a profile, such as their research summary or research focus or other information about them. Any editing that you do of the profile is going to take place in Elements directly on the sort of logged in Elements experience. You also can choose to have folks other than the faculty help either support or make changes on behalf of faculty. So it may be that a department head or administrator wants to take a final look at a profile before it goes public, or if a faculty member wants to have a delegate or an assistant help make changes on their behalf. Those are a couple of different ways that profiles can be edited and how those get reflected in the public discovery.
Thank you. And then we have, is an integration with Sherpa Romeo available?
Yeah, during the deposit workflow for Elements, we do have the ability to show Sherpa Romeo instructions and information to the user as part of that process.
This is an interesting one. How does an RIM, Research Information Management, and RDM, Research Data Management, differ from one another?
Well, Elements and what I consider RIMS is typically focused around the researcher and the researcher at your organization. So that's really the focus, is building out those people who are doing research and the metadata describing the work that they're doing. In Elements, we're typically looking at sort of a summary of what they have worked on, and there's lots of great details about that work, and maybe even including a link to where you can access that work. But you're typically not doing something like uploading data sets or analyzing your research data in Elements directly. You know, this is typically more centered around the researcher and highlighting what they're working on, where data management might be better suited in a different tool. Maybe even Figshare would be a good tool to look at for that as well.
Great, thank you. Then we have, could you explain whether all the features such as profiles, impact, publications, etc. are part of one package, or whether they are separate modules that need to be subscribed to individually?
Yeah, absolutely. So in terms of, I'm actually going to just skip back a little bit here and just put this on screen here. So when you purchase sort of our most basic elements package of I just need elements, you know, what's the first piece that I could buy? It would come with our ability to do internal profiles, all of the automation and data loading that we talked about. It would come with reporting tools, the impact solution, and basically the ability for you to bring data in from your internal systems into Elements. Where you would be looking at some additional add-ons would be if you are bringing your repository into the workflow, you would need to look at adding some open access support for that and make sure we can establish a connection to your repository. This is really for those bi-directional workflows. If you'd like to add evaluation and review, that's a really comprehensive solution, has a lot of tools and a lot of flexibility there, and gives administrators a whole new set of ways to interact with elements. And awards management and funding, again, a very big tool set. So if you're somebody who's doing a lot of funding management and wanting to track those workflows, you'd want to add that solution as well.
Thank you. And then we have, for the evaluations module, can researchers only edit their data by uploading documents, or can they directly edit their profile data?
So in terms of how that would work, we would be administrators. Let me just say from the beginning, the evaluation module has a ton of flexibility. So if there's a particular way you'd like to envision using this, there's probably a way we can kick this off from the administrator point of view. I would say typically what happens is that you would build out certain sections of your evaluation exercise. To make it easy for the faculty, you would want to leverage as much of what's already in their elements profile, but you can have some controls over this as an administrator, like you know, please only pre-populate this section with data, you know, with outputs that were created this year, or only populate this section with this type of output, like just articles. The researcher, when they go to fill out their submission, they see that population happen, and they can choose to do some curation, like, oh, I don't want all of these in here, or I realized I needed to add one I forgot. They can add a new object right from the exercise. It'll go onto their profile. They might be making changes like adding comments or annotations. They're probably not changing the essential metadata of the objects that came from their profile, because the sense is that those are sort of already a source of truth for this. But if you also want to have data that's maybe not in elements anywhere yet, it's not sort of a traditional research output or not well captured, they do also have the flexibility to have an exercise section that's more open-ended. They could be more free text, or uploading a letter of recommendation, or linking to something. So there's some flexibility in how that goes. How much you want the faculty to be inputting or editing is sort of up to you. In terms of the objects coming from their profile, they're really curating more than actually editing that metadata.
Thank you. And then we have, does your system support deposit of research data into data repositories as opposed to institutional repositories?
Yeah, absolutely. I have sort of an academic focus on this because that's sort of my background, but it could absolutely connect with other repository types. I would say due to the size and scope of data repositories, for those workflows, while we could certainly sync with them and show that metadata on an elements profile, the user may be better off depositing directly into the repository interface, just to make sure that data sets of that size are being handled properly in that process. There are some limitations on the elements side of it, but we could certainly sync between the two and bring that data to their profile so they can say that they have made this deposit and that there is a data set that can be shown on their profile.
Thank you. And Alexandra, I think that's all of the questions that we have had through for now. There are a couple from specific current clients, which we will reach out to you straight after this. If those of you who if you've been listening and you suddenly think of a question in the future, do feel free to reach out to us, and we'll be very happy to answer those and help you where we can. And thank you again to everybody for joining us today. It's been great to have you from all around the world. And Alexandra, thank you so much for taking us through that today.
Thanks, everyone. I'm glad you could join us.